Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. Guys, smash the like button on this video, share the video. Guys, I hope you guys like the live today. Guys, it's a big day for me today. Not for me, but for Salman. Salman's getting married today. If you didn't know, I didn't tell you guys. It's been a pretty busy week, so I'm gonna get ready and then we're gonna go to the wedding hall. He actually had his pre-wedding on Thursday. It was, Salman is getting married today, so I thought I'd share that with you. But yeah, also after the wedding, I think we'll be back by 12 o'clock in the evening. 4 hours later, Canelo Alvarez takes on Gennady Golovkin. So what a treat, what an absolute treat. But guys, I want to talk about Gennady Golovkin. I want to talk about the fact that Ryan Garcia has said that Gennady Golovkin will beat Canelo Alvarez. Will beat angry Canelo Alvarez. Now, I don't know whether Ryan Garcia is still holding a grudge against Canelo Alvarez. It looks like he is, because Canelo recently said that Gervonta Davis will beat Ryan Garcia, and I don't think Ryan Garcia has taken kindly to that. And Ryan Garcia is hitting back at Canelo and saying Golovkin's going to beat him. Does Ryan really believe that? I'm not so sure he does. I think he's trying to get into Canelo's head and he's trying to have a go at Canelo. I personally think there's beef there, and I think there's going to be long-lasting beef there. I think Canelo has kind of got off this kid and thinks that, for all I did for him, he's pretty disrespectful. And Ryan is continuing to, I think, trying to get under Canelo's skin. I'd like to be a fly on the wall when they next meet, and see how Canelo would react to him. I don't think Canelo would react maybe Canelo might not say anything. But it's a cheeky kid that's never been a world champion to Canelo. Canelo will just look at it. He's a young kid, he's got hot blood and he's coming back at me. But I think he's getting to the point now where the disrespect is from Ryan Garcia is well and truly for everyone to see. And I don't like the fact when a guy like Ryan Garcia, who's not really achieved, even a tenth of what Canelo has, is slagging off Canelo like that. Canelo Alvarez is going to go down a legend in the sport, whereas Ryan really has never been a world champion, So I think there's levels to the game. I think the fact that Ryan continuing to goad Canelo, I think it looks a bit bad from his part now. When Canelo says he thinks Gervonta Davis beats Ryan, I think Canelo genuinely believes that, and I think I think most people in boxing think Gervonta beats Ryan Garcia. I think Canelo was giving us a proper opinion, and he said that Ryan Garcia hasn't got the experience. Maybe down the road, Garcia might be in a much better place position, but right now Gervonta has a little bit more experience. And I think he was saying that even when Ryan was with Canelo and he had a good relationship, I think Canelo generally believes that Gervonta is a lot more experienced at this point. Ryan obviously hasn't taken kindly to it, but I want to talk a little bit about the fact that what Ryan said about angry Canelo. Is Canelo going into this fight angry? Is Canelo going into this fight with a point to prove? I do think Canelo's going into this fight with a point to prove, because he lost his last fight and he wants to get back and he wants to show the world that he's the best fighter in the world, and he wants people to remember how great he is. So he's definitely going in there with a point to prove. The motivation's going to be high for Canelo, but if he obviously, we know that he doesn't like Golovkin. We know that he doesn't have nice words to say about Golovkin. He feels Golovkin's two-faced. He feels Golovkin says one thing to his face, but then behind his back he says one thing. And Eddie Hearn said something yesterday that I think Canelo Alvarez just wants Gennady Golovkin to say it to his face, but I think Golovkin's torturing him. I think Golovkin's basically saying things behind Canelo's back in other interviews, but when he comes face to face, he tries to play the nice guy, and Canelo's not liking that, because Canelo wants to bite at him. But Canelo can't bite at him if Golovkin's not saying anything to his face. Canelo wants to get into Golovkin and wants to say things back to him. And that's what Canelo does. He's a feisty character. When you say something, he comes back to you. But the problem is Golovkin's not giving him that opportunity. So Golovkin's trying to get into his head, because he's saying things that he knows that Canelo would be hearing in other interviews. But when they come face to face, Golovkin's playing a nice guy. So Canelo's calling him two-faced and saying he's this, that, and the other. But we'll have to wait and see how Canelo performs. I don't think Canelo's going to fight angry. I think when you're experienced to that level, I don't think you're going to come in and fight recklessly. I think Canelo's too experienced for that, or should be anyway. He shouldn't be going in there and fighting with emotion, not at this stage. Golovkin might want him to do that, because that would probably give Golovkin more openings. And we know that Golovkin possesses power and he can punch. And if he lands on anybody, they could be in trouble. So Canelo's got to be careful. He's got to remember he's got Gennady Golovkin in front of him. He hasn't got Billy Joe or Caleb Plant, guys that are feather-fisted, that are not big punchers. I mean, he's got Gennady Golovkin, who's very heavy-handed, who punches very hard, and he just needs to go watch the 2 fights that he had with Gennady Golovkin. You know, they were tough, hard fights. So, yeah, this is going to be a very interesting scrap, very interesting fight. I don't know how this is going to come down. But I think it's going to be good. I think Golovkin is definitely going to bring it. I think Golovkin's going to throw everything at Canelo, and he may get knocked out in the process because he may throw caution to the wind. I think he's going to leave it all in the ring, and I wouldn't be surprised if he catches Canelo with a shot, wobbles him, or maybe he gets knocked out because he's so gung-ho. I think he will go gung-ho because I think he wants to win this fight, and I think he knows that it's going to be difficult for him to get a decision, because I can't see Golovkin outclassing Canelo the way Bivol did. I think Golovkin, even if he has a great fight against Canelo, I think it will be close. And if it's close, I think Canelo will obviously be favoured. And I think Canelo might be the sharper fighter anyway now. He's younger, he's fresher. Golovkin would have slowed down. So Canelo will probably beat him legitimately. I mean, I don't think there'll be any controversies. So this is why Golovkin really, for me, is the only chance. Not forget the judges. I don't think the judges will come into it. I think if it goes 12 rounds, I think Canelo will beat him legitimately. But I think Canelo's gonna... I think Golovkin needs to hurt him. I think Golovkin needs to do a Pacquiao Marquez. He needs to do a Marquez and knock out Canelo Alvarez, which I don't think is possible. I think Steven mentioned something yesterday that Canelo might even have a better chin than Golovkin. I don't think he does have a better chin than Golovkin. I think they're either on par or Golovkin's got a better chin. I've seen Canelo hurt before when he was young. After that, when he fought Cotto's brother, but after that, I haven't seen Canelo hurt, but I've never seen Golovkin hurt, and Golovkin's only really been hurt at the back end when he's old. I mean, even then, it's only been a grimace on his face. He's never really been hurt, like put down or wobbled, or I've never seen Golovkin wobbled in a fight. I mean, it's phenomenal to think a guy that's been fighting his whole life, never been wobbled. And I don't know if he's been dropped as an amateur. Maybe you guys can show me, post a link if you saw some footage of Golovkin being wobbled as an amateur. But yeah, this guy's phenomenal. You know, throughout somebody's career, not to be wobbled or not to be put down, I think that's phenomenal. You know, that's absolutely phenomenal. Like, even Mayweather, who's got a great defense. I mean, and what makes Golovkin more incredible is the fact that Golovkin gets hit. You know, Canelo, Mayweather, these guys have very good defenses. Like, Canelo has a much better defense than Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin takes a lot of shots flush. You know, he takes a lot of shots, whereas Canelo Alvarez doesn't take that many clean shots. He's got a very good defense. He's got a chin, don't get me wrong. I've seen Canelo take some big shots from Golovkin. Danny Jacobs hit him with a massive left hook and it just bounced off his chin. So Canelo's got a great chin, without question. But Golovkin, I think Canelo's chin isn't as exposed as much as Golovkin, because Golovkin gets hit flush, whereas Canelo has got a very good defense, which is he's harder to hit, especially of later on in his career. Like the last 4 or 5 years, Canelo's defensive game has improved massively. So that really helps Canelo not get caught a lot, whereas Golovkin gets caught flush. I mean, Kell Brook was catching Golovkin flush. Willie Monroe, I know these guys aren't big punchers, especially at middleweight, but even the Danny Jacobs fight, I mean, he got caught. Canelo Alvarez caught him with a massive right hand, the same right hand that put Amir Khan to sleep, and Golovkin just took it like it was nothing, you know. So Gennady Golovkin, without question, has got one of the best chins I've seen in the last 20, 30 years, for sure. I think he's got one of the best chins maybe in boxing history. I think he's up there with Ali's, with the Marvin Haglers. I think the man's made out of stone. I think he's an Iron Man. I think me and Steven mentioned that on the live yesterday, that Golovkin is an Iron Man. And I don't think there's any question. He's definitely an Iron Man. Gennady Golovkin is an Iron Man, and I don't think anybody like Gennady Golovkin with the makeup of Gennady Golovkin is going to fold. I just think Gennady Golovkin is going to give it his all in there. I think there's so much on the line. I actually think Gennady Golovkin has more emotion attached to this fight than Canelo Alvarez, because Gennady Golovkin feels like Canelo's got what he deserves, because Gennady Golovkin feels that I won both those fights. And if I had won both those fights and I had been given my credit, my career would be in a different place right now. Even though he's made a lot of money, and even though he's getting another opportunity to fight Canelo Alvarez, I still feel that Gennady Golovkin is bitter towards Canelo Alvarez, because he feels that the judges favoured him when really it was Golovkin that won those 2 fights. Or in Golovkin's mind, felt that he won those 2 fights I personally thought Golovkin won the first, and I thought Canelo won the second. I think it's 1-1, the way I look at it. But I can't wait for tonight. I'm excited. I'm buzzing. It's going to be great. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think, guys. And smash the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.